Some butterflies emerge from their cocoons with falsified bank statements and designer wardrobes. Manhattan's social ecosystem requires perfect camouflage, the right handbag, the correct pronunciation of certain foreign words, knowing which tables at which restaurants signal arrival. She studied the wealthy like an anthropologist, learning a forgotten language, cataloguing their behaviours, absorbing their shortcuts, noticing what they never questioned. Her transformation wasn't merely physical, but linguistic. She learned that true privilege speaks in casual absolutes, never explains itself, and regards hesitation as weakness. Behind her calculated confidence and imperious dismissals of service, workers beat the heart of someone who recognized America's oldest truth. With sufficient audacity, you can will yourself into existence. The genius of her deception lay not in its complexity, but its simplicity. She behaved exactly as the affluent expect wealth to behave. In today's episode, we explore the mind-bending story of Anna Delvey, who proved that in the Instagram age, perception isn't just as valuable as reality. It is reality, even when built entirely from fiction. Before she was Manhattan's most infamous fake heiress, little Anna Sorokin drew her first breath on January 23, 1991, in the decidedly unglamorous Domodedovo, a working-class satellite town that orbits Moscow like a distant frozen moon. Her father wrestled trucks across Russian highways while her mother maintained their modest home before eventually opening a small convenience store. Biographical details that would later be scrubbed from Anna's reinvented history more thoroughly than a suspicious transaction from a bank statement. In 2007, when Anna was 16, her family transplanted themselves to Eschweiler, Germany, near Cologne, unwittingly providing the German connection that would later become the foundational stone of her elaborate societal con. At 19, Sorokin abandoned Germany to chase a fashion degree in Paris, taking her first stiletto-heeled steps away from ordinary immigrant status toward extraordinary imposter, each kilometre increasing the distance between her humble origins and glittering ambitions. The summer of 2013 delivered Anna to New York's Fashion Week through a legitimate job with Purple magazine. A moment when Manhattan's skyline must have appeared to her not just as an architectural marvel, but as a blueprint for vertical social climbing. She abandoned Sorokin faster than last season's trends, rebranding herself as Anna Delvey and fabricating the fiction that it was her mother's maiden name, the inaugural falsehood in what would become a doctoral-level curriculum in deception. Her self-transfiguration complete, Anna sculpted an identity as a wealthy German heiress, guarding a €60 million trust fund, a fantasy fortune supported by nothing more than forged documents, strategic name-dropping, and her increasingly polished performance of old money nonchalance. New acquaintances whispered theories about her background. Perhaps her father was a Russian diplomat or oil tycoon. Assumptions Anna allowed to flourish uncorrected, recognizing that gossip could build her fictional biography more efficiently than she ever could alone. Her physical metamorphosis matched her narrative invention. Designer clothes purchased through increasingly creative financial maneuvers, strategic socializing at the right Manhattan hotspots, and the unshakable confidence that comes when you've convinced yourself that your performance is reality. Premium hotels became her exclusive residences. $100 bills materialized between her fingers whenever service workers appeared, and credit cards bent under astronomical charges, all carefully choreographed demonstrations of the wealth she wanted you to believe she possessed. Anna's networking strategy revealed brilliant simplicity. Observe the wealthy like an anthropologist, catalogue their vocabulary and habits, then mirror these patterns back with such conviction that questioning her would seem like the ultimate social faux pas. While most con artists dream small, Anna's ambitions stretched skyward like the Manhattan buildings she infiltrated. She wouldn't merely play at being rich. She would establish herself as New York's newest cultural powerhouse through an exclusive arts club that would cement her invented legacy among the elite she had worked so hard to fool. Every great swindler needs a magnificent obsession, And for Anna, it materialized as the Anna Delvey Foundation, an ambitious private arts club and cultural nexus that would supposedly transform a historic Manhattan building into the epicenter of the city's creative elite. Unlike most scammers who invent projects solely as bait, Anna pursued her foundation with surprising sincerity, approaching banks and investors with detailed business plans, architectural renderings, and the unflinching confidence of someone who believes her own mythology. Her fraudulent methodology displayed a craftsman's attention to detail, meticulously forged Swiss bank statements showing 60 million euros, elaborately falsified wire transfer confirmations, and an intricate financial backstory polished to a high shine that temporarily dazzled even seasoned financial professionals. January 2017 marked a critical test when Fortress Investment Group requested a good faith deposit of $100,000 from Anna, along with verification from her supposed Swiss bank, a due diligence speed bump that would have flattened lesser con artists. Her foundation served as the perfect cover, while she systematically drained resources from financial institutions and wealthy contacts who believed they were funding a visionary business venture, but were actually financing her residence at luxury hotels, gourmet restaurant expeditions, and international first-class travel. The Soho hotspot, 11, Howard became Anna's unofficial headquarters, where her $30,000 unpaid bill accumulated alongside her reputation for casually dispensing $100 tips to staff for trivial services, a strategic investment in maintaining her wealthy persona. Her financial institution strategy yielded impressive dividends when she persuaded one bank to loan her $100,000 using falsified documents, part of her ambitious attempt to secure $22 million for her foundation, a sum that disappeared into her lifestyle rather than architectural plans. Anna's genius extended beyond institutional fraud to intimate betrayal, as demonstrated by her manipulation of Rachel DeLoach Williams, a Vanity Fair photo editor who would learn the exorbitant price of Anna's friendship. After a pattern of hotel evictions for non-payment, Anna orchestrated what she positioned as an all-expenses-paid luxury vacation to Morocco for Williams and others, a gift that masked her true intention of finding new credit cards to exploit. When the Moroccan resort demanded $62,000 after Anna's cards were declined, a panicking Williams covered the bill with her personal and corporate cards, after Anna assured her with practiced conviction that reimbursement would arrive immediately, money that, like Anna's inheritance, existed only as a promise. The mechanics of Anna's deception exploited a fundamental social truth. New York's elite circles operate largely on visual confirmation and social endorsement. If you're seen in the right places, wearing the right clothes, talking to the right people, questions about your background become almost taboo. By mid-2017, however, the elaborate financial choreography that had kept Anna's performance running began to falter as unpaid bills multiplied, checks bounced between increasingly suspicious banks, and her victims started comparing notes the moment when her house of borrowed cards began collapsing with the same spectacular drama that had characterized its construction. Every debt eventually demands payment, and Anna's financial day of reckoning arrived in July 2017, when authorities arrested her for skipping out on thousands of dollars owed to the Beekman, the W New York and La Parka Meridian hotels, establishments whose patience had finally exhausted after countless promises that payment was just about to clear. Freedom proved brief when this self-styled heiress demonstrated her contempt for the legal system by skipping her court appearance, apparently considering judicial proceedings like restaurant checks optional for someone of her imagined stature. Her flight from justice culminated in a cinematic capture when the NYPD coordinated with her betrayed friend Rachel DeLoach Williams to execute a sting operation, cornering Anna at an addiction treatment facility in Los Angeles County, where she had sought refuge from the consequences rapidly gaining on her. Manhattan media outlets that once might have featured her foundation's launch party now published detailed exposés of her elaborate deceptions, with reporters meticulously documenting fraudulent wire transfers, fictional financial advisors, and the trail of victims left financially and emotionally bankrupt in her elegantly shod wake. Justice delivered its verdict on April 25, 2019, when 12 jurors unanimously found Anna guilty of 8 criminal charges, including multiple degrees of grand larceny, attempted grand larceny and theft of services, formal acknowledgement that her most impressive creation was not an arts foundation, but an elaborate criminal enterprise. Throughout court proceedings, Anna displayed her characteristic flair for performance art by hiring a professional stylist to curate her courtroom wardrobe, treating the criminal trial as another exclusive New York event where appearance trumped substance, a strategy that impressed fashion blogs but failed to sway the jury. Her unrepentant attitude crystallized in a post-conviction statement that perfectly captured her disconnection from conventional morality. "The thing is, I am not sorry." 6 words that revealed how completely she had internalized her fictional identity, seeing herself as a visionary entrepreneur unfairly persecuted rather than a calculating criminal justly convicted. The court sentenced her in May 2019 to 4 to 12 years imprisonment, imposed a $24,000 fine, and ordered restitution of approximately $199,000, legal consequences that couldn't be charmed away with $100 tips or promises of wire transfers from Switzerland. Prison life at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility and later Albion Correctional Facility replaced luxury hotel suites with institutional cells, designer outfits with standard-issue uniforms, and exclusive restaurant reservations with cafeteria mealtimes. A stark downgrade that would have horrified the Anna who once dismissed a 5-star hotel as insufficiently exclusive. February 2021 brought early release for good behaviour, perhaps the first system Anna navigated honestly, followed by her immediate return to Instagram, where she attempted to reclaim her digital identity, even as her legal identity remained in limbo. Her brief taste of freedom soured the following month when Immigration and Customs Enforcement detained her for overstaying her visa, federal authorities proving more attentive to documentation details than the Manhattan social arbiters who had accepted her fictional biography without verification. On October 5, 2022, Anna secured release from ICE detention after posting $10,000 bail, emerging to house arrest in Manhattan's East Village, an ankle monitor, accessorizing her designer outfits, and initially a social media ban, restrictions that transformed the woman who once glided through Hotel 11 Howard's lobby, tossing $100 bills into a homebound prisoner of her own making. In American culture's strangest alchemy, Anna's criminal conviction transmuted into celebrity gold when Netflix paid her $320,000 for rights to her life story, a transaction that required legal intervention to ensure victims received restitution before she could access the windfall, marking perhaps the first time Anna involuntarily paid a bill. Television titan Shonda Rhimes transformed Anna's audacious grift into Inventing Anna, a 9-episode Netflix series starring Julia Garner that topped the platform's viewership charts upon its February 2022 release, elevating a common fraudster into a cultural phenomenon worthy of prestige television treatment. Anna's infamy spawned a multimedia empire beyond Netflix. The BBC Radio 4 podcast Fake Heiress, a London theatre production titled Anna X, numerous books analysing her deceptions, academic papers, and continuous media coverage, a level of attention most legitimate entrepreneurs could only dream of achieving. With the ankle monitor barely attached, Anna demonstrated her phenomenal talent for monetising notoriety by appearing on Paris Hilton's podcast alongside Nikki Rothschild in May 2022. Ironically accessing through genuine infamy the social echelon she had previously required elaborate fictions to penetrate. The convicted felon pivoted effortlessly to artistic expression, selling $340,000 worth of drawings and paintings by December 2022. proceeds that conveniently covered her bail and secured her $4,250 monthly East Village apartment, proving that American capitalism offers redemptive opportunities even to those who flagrantly abuse it. During New York Fashion Week in September 2023, Anna partnered with established fashion publicist Kelly Cutrone to host a rooftop event at her apartment, her ankle monitor serving not as a badge of shame but as an edgy accessory that somehow authenticated rather than undermined her newfound legitimate celebrity status. Her entrepreneurial instincts remained sharp as she launched an exclusive dinner series where actors, musicians, founders, socialites, journalists, and other esteemed guests gathered around private chef-prepared tables for candid conversations, finally creating the legitimate cultural salon she had once fraudulently claimed to be developing. The surrealism reached its zenith when Anna, ankle monitor clearly visible, appeared as a contestant on Dancing with the Stars in 2024. Prompting Whoopi Goldberg to question publicly on The View why immigration authorities would grant a convicted fraudster permission for televised dancing while families struggled desperately to reunite with detained relatives. When asked what she would take away from her brief Dancing with the Stars experience after becoming the first contestant eliminated, Anna replied with characteristic cold precision, "Nothing." A single-word response that distilled her unaltered essence despite her transformed circumstances. Harvard University professors couldn't resist analysing her as a case study, applying sociologist Pierre Bourdieu's concept of the autodidact, someone attempting to learn and embody upper-class cultural tastes despite not being born into privilege, an academic framing that lent intellectual legitimacy to what was essentially elaborate theft. Anna swatted away this scholarly interpretation with her characteristic dismissive authority. "I don't even know what New York upper society means. I would not even be able to tell you one person. I was just trying to work on my project and that's pretty much it," maintaining the fiction that she was merely misunderstood rather than manipulative, her commitment to her narrative unwavering despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. The Anna Sorokin saga reveals America's most uncomfortable truth. In a culture obsessed with reinvention and social mobility, we sometimes canonize our most brazen frauds, transforming a truck driver's daughter who swindled Manhattan's elite out of $275,000 into a legitimate celebrity, allowing her to achieve through criminality the very status she once had to fake, and suggesting that perhaps her most brilliant insight wasn't how to commit fraud, but how to leverage America's fascination with audacious deception into authentic fame. And now I'd love to see you in the comments. Were you familiar with Anna Delvey's story, and have you seen content on her before? I can't wait to hear from you. And thanks again for joining another episode of Old Money Allure. Cheers, until the next one.